Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers to us, to all of us, to my bankroll, to the boys that were hanging on at a shot at first place. It is a somber, sad Monday morning, but most importantly, thoughts and prayers to Numi's front tooth. Where to pile on the fact that he had a sick sweat at the 50K and it didn't get home. He also jammed up his tooth. So let's bring in the boys. What's going on, lads? How we doing? Newbie, give us a smile, baby.
Come on, it's all good, baby. It's all good. That's how I feel. I got punched in the mouth this week. That's how I feel.
Yeah, literally, the slate punched me in the mouth. Literally,
we can't even complain though. All things considered, Numi and I, we made out with some extra cash this week. That was cool. Could have been way cooler, but I'm not overall. I'm in a good mood. I'm really not like I promise I'm not bitter or holding grudges.
Not salty. Yeah. Wait, for those who are not on hashtag Team Sweat the Games, second week in a row that we had a badge bro at the top of the 50K leaderboard for the better part of 2 hours. Mm-hmm. You were right up there, and you had a real legit shot there, Nez. You were fading some Cooper Kupp and then Marquise Brown getting home. And then on the inverse side of that is Numi was chasing it with the Marquise Brown and kept pushing up, and ended up with a respectable fifth place finish for Numi and 8th place finish for Nez. So congrats, boys. Some nice lineups. We're going to go through them. Yeah, golf claps. F's in the chat. That's what the kids do, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
F's in the chat.
Yeah, pay your respects. Pay your respects.
Yeah. But hey, I'll bring up the lineups in a second here. But how was the Sunday? How was the sweat? Were you guys watching? What was going down?
Nez, you started off. You were the one in first for most of the time. So
yeah, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Like I was trying to keep myself very busy and preoccupied. You don't want to sweat Cooper Kupp and Marquise Hollywood Brown. That is not the fun place to be, especially whenever the guy below me, the next one below me was like 7 points off. So already knew I was toast. And I told myself that even if Justin Jefferson put up a good score, there's no way I would have held. There's no way. And then doing some math once it's over and seeing I needed 10 points from Justin Jefferson, I kind of just did a little woo-saw. And you know what? We're on to week 3. But during those afternoon games, I went and did some errands, went to the store while periodically checking, and I'm like, okay, when am I going to be out of first? When am I going to be out of first? And I wasn't for a little too long. I gained a little too much hope while waiting for that score to drop. But it was fun, man. It was fun. It was good for the brand. Had a couple people reach out, which was kind of cool. I was like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's not going to hold, but yeah, thank you.
No, it's nice. Yeah, I mean, and just before we jump into Numi's lineup here, you had the Lamar Andrews skinny, the double that we were all over last week, and we were mixing in this week, and it gets home in a big way again. And then you had Derrick Henry. I basically had to have Derrick Henry. And then you had to have some combination of these upper echelon wide receivers, but preferably not the ones that were going in the first round, because basically the majority of them, fell flat outside of, I guess, Adams getting a touchdown. But I don't think he could have made the optimal or could have made the winning one. But beautiful lineup here. You got on Mac Hollins, which was a sharp way to get different. As we've talked about, those late one-offs, a sharp way to get different in that Tennessee-Vegas game. And for anyone who was playing the cash game streets, I mean, he was damn near an auto lock. He was 35% owned in 50-50s, and I mean, he was a cash game guy. So to mix him in where all the sharps were going in cash, to mix him then into this GPP setting where he was basically unowned was just a real sharp move for my money there. Anything else to add to it?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words. I think the way that I looked at this was starting off, we had identified again for the second straight week that we wanted Lamar Andrews, and we wanted that to be, or at least for me, a large part of my portfolio. And part of my thought process here. This was my only Mac Hollins share, by the way. I wasn't like adding him in. Like he wasn't like it was just kind of like a dart throw. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
I have like when you look at the team outside of Mac Hollins, like to me, it was chalky, right? Like these guys were all drafted. Like not even like a shadow of a doubt. These guys, except Derrick Henry, oddly. So I was like, okay, like let me get like a little correlation in there, like in Mac Hollins, with the Mac Hollins play. And the thought was that Tennessee had just got kind of torn up by the Bills. So I was like, okay, well maybe there's some play there. And thankfully, I got lucky, by the way. Mac Hollins scored a very, very late touchdown. Like I'm not acting like I wasn't that like I deserve this. Like this is a lot of luck. But that was the thought process here, and kind of what I've mentioned in previous episodes, where getting cute, doing it as thin as possible with just like a one-off with a bunch of chalk, I think is still going to be like the way to kind of play the variance without like absolutely like shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, because I mean, especially late in the slate when you're like quote unquote chasing points and playing catch up, like this is a very nice pivot into Numi's lineup is if you're chasing points and you're chasing points with Cooper Kupp, you're fucked. Like everyone, he's 100% owned, and other people have him with higher totals. Other people already had him built out with the Lamar Andrews and whatever. But if you're chasing points in that same environment and you also have a 30%, 40% owned Marquise Brown, like Numi did, now all of a sudden he's in a position to give himself outs late in the slate to catch up. And that's exactly what you did, which let's bring up this beautiful one. So you had the Lamar, like basically you needed the Lamar double. So you had the Lamar double, then you needed the Henry one-off, and we could talk more about Henry after. And then you had Kupp from the 101, and then you had the Marquise bring back, which not a ton of people were on or should. Like I was on it, but I was on it when I waited on quarterback and did it with Kyler quite a bit. But I maybe only had one as like a one-off that was just Kupp and Marquise, and obviously it wasn't built this nicely. But the thought process here, like, what are we doing here, Numi? This is a great lineup.
Yeah, I was on it from the beginning of the week, like Ned said. Like I was on that Lamar. Like I know people were talking about like maybe like there was a lot of quarterbacks to wait on, and that was my reasoning. I identified Lamar and Hurts as my guys that I wanted to be more overweight on compared to like Mahomes and Allen, where they were going at. So when I could get Lamar, and what I decided to do, I think I took Lamar at the 2-3 turn, so it was still a little rich, but like I identified, like people were saying like, oh, it's the Patriots, could be a slow game, but it's like Lamar can still do Lamar things, as we've seen, and not just this season or last game, but in his career. So he doesn't need to have another team out there like that's high scoring. He can just go out there and be Lamar. So that was my thought. And then I did it. Yeah, I did the mini stack with Hollywood and Kupp. And then I did Higgins as just leverage off of Chase and Mixon, which in theory worked because he was the highest scoring Bengal. But I guess you needed Boyd. So
right, yeah.
which would have been, which in the process I'm totally fine with. Which I was telling you guys backstage, which again, it's just, the fun, it's more of the fun tilt and you see in the moment. But the T Higgins the review and non-touchdown, I get it. It's been called that way. Like his feet came down, heel was out, so it's not a touchdown, but like, if you ask a lot of people and a lot of smart people, like the rule just, it's a weird rule. And I get it. I'm not like, but it just sucks because the only reason it's a little extra dagger is the same. If you're just following, you probably don't care, but Jamar Chase happened in the first week where I had 750 in a Hail Mary. And Jamar Chase doesn't get that clear touchdown reviewed by Zach Taylor. They just do a hurry up. I lose out on 5K. A touchdown that, in my opinion, is a touchdown. I get it. Doesn't it just because it's my opinion? It's his heel was out. I get it. Loses out on 2K to 50. So it's just kind of like, damn.
That's the sick variance of this game, right?
Exactly.
But,
and
I know, but I mean, at least you still have both your front teeth. I mean, at least after all that hard luck going your way, like whatever, guys. Just give us a smile, Numi. Come on.
He's still handsome as ever. It don't even matter.
Numi bit a little too hard into his lunch on Sunday. and we wound up with an unfortunate re-aggravation of a previous injury.
Re-aggravation.
Yeah. Just a quick synopsis. In second grade, I tripped and hit my smacked two front teeth on a chair, one of those metal chairs, and it was the first thing that hit were those two front teeth. So it just a V. But yeah, I was chomping too hard at my lunch at that terrible Vikings game until Dan Campbell decided to screw it up and give us a win. So, yeah. But we'll again, I'm not. It's not like oh my god, like that's the way it is. When you the way I think about it, and it's like I understand where I'm in the top one. I think I would assume in the 5, I'm in the top 0.1%, and that's all you can ask for. It's luck and variance up to that. So, in theory, if I'm going to go off of like performance and my process, like my process has been there, the results are still there regardless if it's first or fifth. That's still in the percentile. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm shooting for. So, yeah.
No, you guys, golf claps to both you guys. You guys made some really nice lineups there and found ways to get unique so you could chase points in different ways that the field was, and it turned out beautifully in your guys' favor. Let's harp on Willis coming in the chat here. Congrats on a decent. I don't know who he's talking to. He couldn't be talking to me. Couldn't be talking to me. No, appreciate that, Willis. Let's talk about this first place lineup right now, just quickly. We don't like to be entirely results oriented, but it's nice to you still got to take a peek and stuff. But man, DMC is all over the fucking place. Like this guy just might be, like we see him in the drafts all the time. BadgeBro himself or herself, sorry. But like just at the top of the Thursday, Sunday was solo shipping that for a bit, ended up with a dupe, is currently leading. It's not going to hold, but is currently leading the Sunday, Monday. And it's not going to hold, but still, like, I'm sure there's lineups behind that the player has that are going to be solid as well. And then ships this as a solo here, which was, very impressive. And the only difference is basically Kirk versus Higgins. And to Numi's credit, it's a 1v1 versus Numi's lineup, and it's Kirk versus Higgins. And, gun to my head, run this slate 10,000 times, I take Higgins. So I don't know. Yeah, you take Higgins. I'd probably take Higgins 70-80% of the time on this slate, and just given the environment, given what we were seeing coming into the week, like I think I had Higgins 8 to 11 spots ahead, but such is life, man. The results don't always add up there, and basically the same lineup as Numi's, just with the 1v1.
Little bittersweet for if I may speak for Shane here, since Numi was really beating the drum on Trevor Lawrence and thinking that Trevor Lawrence looks like he's taking that leap. I remember you said that on a couple episodes. It's something I've been keeping an eye on, and I've been adamant that Christian Kirk is a legitimate wide receiver 1 that can do what that can reproduce what he's been doing. So it just kind of a little moral W for you there, since you were on it. You had mentioned that you were liking what you were seeing from Trevor Lawrence. That's definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on as well. And they've got a fun matchup next week, I think, against let me see on my whiteboard here.
It was a great matchup. Yeah, it was
whiteboard. He's got handwritten down the matchups.
We're going.
This is incredible. Oh my god!
For next week.
He showed me his whiteboard if he was doing for his lineups, and I'm just like, show me. And then I showed him my setup. We were geeking at each other's setups for getting ready for lineups.
Oh
so my point
adorable.
Is,
you guys ever heard of Excel? You guys ever heard of Excel in a second monitor?
The mind.
You want to see my 3?
It's different. It fires different pathways. I'm telling you.
I like it.
Philadelphia, they've got next week. That's a pretty tough defense, but that is, we'll get into the slate probably more tomorrow, but just looking ahead, little leverage potentially off of that Buffalo Ravens game, which is going to be incredibly popular. Yeah,
I could foresee this week, just without even looking at ADP right now. I think if you're going to want to get in on that and get unique combinations, you're going to have to draft right when slate opens, because I could foresee ADP pushing up, and all of a sudden we just have we're going to have 3 Buffalo players and at least 2 Ravens in the top 8, let's call it top 11, something like that.
Yeah, and I will
can
say
see
to that point, that's my only 2 Josh Allen and Dig shares were literally when ADP were not a thing, like those first drafts. So I'll harp on that. Like I'm gonna hammer. I'm probably gonna enter the first 15, like it's if not 20, and try and get in there before. And it could be all sharp people, who knows? But like that doesn't matter. Like if the ADP isn't that sharp, or if it's not reflecting kind of like totals, and you can get those awesome stacks to start, that's kind of like just to jump the shark on what we're talking about. But yeah,
in theory, the ADP doesn't exist when you start the contest, right?
Exactly. We form the ADP.
That's where we form it. Yeah, exactly. You guys are getting some. Okay, I was a little too harsh on the boys. You guys are getting some whiteboard shout outs out here.
Man, I'm telling you gotta go old school. X's and O's, baby.
Yeah, I'm a pen and paper guy. I'm probably going to be going to Target and getting me a nice whiteboard I can hang up like right here.
Influencer, baby.
I have my legal pads here. I love a nice legal pad and my pen, a nice pen. You know, I have my favorite pen that I use. So yeah.
I used to have one when I was playing a million hands a year for poker and stuff, where I would, I had Excel notes and I had all the data stuff, but I would write stuff on the thing above my monitors. So it was like 3 monitors and then whiteboard like above that was on like a pull out little thing. And I just, same thing. I'm just clowning you guys.
Like, writing down is that's how I remember. Like typing something out, but if I actually write it down and then I read it, I'm like, oh, I instantly will remember it way better. So
yeah. Yeah, no, I see that for sure. I think that's pretty well. We could talk about how overexposed I was to CMC and all that fun stuff, but I don't think my ownership stuff is particularly necessary to look at. I mean, we can learn just as much from losing shit as we can from winning. Is this dog driving you guys insane too? Can you hear that? Can you hear his toy?
All I can hear is it's time for dog park, sir. And
we're
not at the dog park. So,
dude, I might have to move either central time zone to keep doing these, or I might have to just start waking up at like 5 a.m. so he goes to the dog park twice before the stream.
StreamYard at the dog park, little Leone style, Come on, that's how we did. Yeah, you're down bad, so you're just like, all right, guys, we're just gonna donate it. Corolla, so we'll go to the dog park and StreamYard.
Speaking of down bad, like. I'm like, okay, Sunday night's going to save my week, right? Like Sunday night's going to save my week here. Like I got all the leverage. I got all the Kittle. I got all the Russ. I got all this. Like we were off that Thursday night game. And then I had all these lineups that were just like Njoku.
Don't forget Judy.
And Judy. Yeah. I was like, I had all these lineups that are just like Njoku and Brissett and Cooper, and then all the nice pieces from this game. Or I even had a double tight end that was like Njoku, Cooper, and then Kittle waiting in the wings. And then I had Javonte and whoever else in that one with Russ. And it was just like, I had all these sick lineups and I'm like, it's coming back. It's coming back. So then as soon as we get the news and I'm down bad on Sunday afternoon, I'm like, oh, I'm doubling down and I'm playing the shit out of Sunday night plus Monday night with a little bit of overlay there. And then what do? I double down on Sunday night game in there, being like, that's the good in game environment. So I'm going to get rugged on Monday again. So it's just, we're just setting up, we're layering failures, fail forward, right?
You could not have handpicked better teams than what you just named. Like having all of those guys and then just picking the pieces. I mean, that we could do a whole episode on what the hell is wrong with the Broncos. It's not good right now. It is not good.
I don't know. Maybe it's is Russ just bad? I don't know. It's weird, man.
He kind of showed glimpses of it last season before he got injured and stuff. We saw a sample of him that did not look like the year before, where he's always been a little hot and cold, but we were seeing a little, from what my memory, it was a little too much of okay, this is kind of weird. We actually are not seeing much good Russ at all. And now from what we've seen, it's very confusing. You don't want to write off Russ as a player, but like you can't put all of this on Hackett, right? I mean, we're all ready to like get our torches and pitchforks for Nathaniel Hackett, but like at a certain point, like Russ has to make some throws too, right? I mean, it's just
there were a lot of drops last night. I watched a bits and pieces of that game. Like Judy gets a ball tipped, and then it was like a go route up the seam. And it was like every bit of 70 yards and a score.
One bit of action in the game was
Trenarius Ward. He snuck his hand in there, and then everyone was like, he should have been caught. But it was literally like it hit his hands after the misdirection. So his hands were going to the ball. And then it was like, as they were going, it hit. So it was like coming. Yeah. And it was a tough. Yeah. I saw that and I'm just like, well, there was our one shot at anything. Like,
right. Yeah.
There's no KJ Hamler. And I just kept hammering him in the Sunday, Monday. I was like, this guy's free. He's going to play. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, all we just need is one KJ Hamler, 160-yard play in the fourth. Yeah. In the sixth round, he's going to meet value.
And then it's going to be hilarious when tonight's game is like 3-3 in the fourth. And then it's actually, you did need the Sunday night game because the other game has no points.
Yeah. What I will do is I will clear these for now and look at ADP here. Have you guys now? Yeah, this is a nice little pivot straight into Monday night. Have you guys drafted any yet? What are your guys' thought process so far?
I admittedly haven't drafted any of these yet, but I will just say that I like that Underdog isn't doing like a massive one of these, and they're instead breaking it up into multiple 5K up tops. So that way, like, it's not like a massive split and you don't have like more reason to collude if you're a bad, evil person. You know what I'm saying? Because these are, in theory, so easy to, to fix if you so felt inclined as a weird person. But good luck with that. So yeah, I like that they do that. And this game I don't need to go into detail about how hard this game is going to be to draft because of the ugliness that we can expect to see here. But especially with Gallup out, now that Gallup has been ruled out, like I believe
let me touch on that one.
Another wrinkle.
Let me touch on that one real quick because I was drafting these this morning. I've done about 30 of them, and I was like looking at the ADP and whatnot, and Schultz still had the question mark tag beside his name, and I was hammering Schultz and Gallup, obviously, because down bad. What else are we going to do? We're just going to lose another Corolla tonight. Why not, right? Let's just keep going. But yeah, so like there's a microcosm of how my weekend's been going is – as I'm drafting, I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably like sneak some of these in. I get like 20 deep, and then we get like the news drop from the Underdog account that both Gallup and Schultz are unlikely to play, which is interesting because it really just muddles up the target environment further. Like we basically have Lamb and presumably Noah Brown, who are going to play 75+% of snaps. And then you can just throw a dart at everyone else on Dallas, right? And then on the Giants side is like week to week, they just ride a hot hand at wide receiver. Like there's no consistency to it at all right now. So it's kind of like, well, is it Shepard and then he's all by himself? Well, that's how the field's drafting it. Shepard and Barkley are kind of the only two Giants going like early. And then there's this, James, Sills, Galladay, Slayton, and then the two tight ends. I don't know. What are you seeing there, Numi?
Disgusting. What I see is something I don't want to touch. I will not draft this tonight. I have better things to do with my life than touch this game. I already have 40 entries in the Sunday night. Like I'll just let that maybe play out.
Kick
like,
him out of the stream. Let's sickos only in here, man.
What do you mean you're not going to play a slate? There's a slate tonight. Are you crazy?
I already have a slate. I already have money invested in this freaking god-awful slate that Russell Wilson freaking let me down on.
That's true.
I have good. That. But no, like if I had to do anything, like, I don't know. I mean, it looks fairly like I don't know what you're going to do with the running backs. Like I think the biggest thing is something that immediately that stands out you could get different is taking both Zeke and Pollard in this because it's getting back in the mindset of only having the 4 players.
It's not getting different. It's a auto tap at the 3-4 right now. So
all right, well, then I will not do that.
I thought the same. I thought the
Okay.
same. Like I thought
Yeah.
the corners would always be either someone would click Zeke or Pollard plus
Yep.
Shepard. I thought that would be like the natural, and then the second team would end up with Lamb plus whichever running back fell. And it's turned out that everyone's double tapping both running backs just because of the uncertainty at pass catcher. Like I came in the first draft, sure as shit, obviously it's just me and Freezer again. Me and Freezer battling it out in these fucking 3-mans over and over again. Freezer's just right at the corner, and I'm like, oh yeah, he probably won't double tap running back. Boom, boom. Like, oh, okay, let's do another one. Yeah, let's do another one. Oh, it's 2-3, me and Freezer again. Boom, boom, double tap. Like every
I guess with the way the ADP
man.
lines up, I should have been a little like I should have assumed that it's just the auto tap. You know what I mean? People like
ADP. ADP could definitely line up the way you were implying by one of the two of them always going third and then Shepard going. So ADP can be kind of misleading, like where the ADP as an average could look exactly like this, but the draft functionality doesn't go exactly like this, right?
Yeah,
it's Carlos. Sorry,
is Tony? Is Tony's out, right?
Correct.
He's
so
doubtful. Tony's out. Kenny Golladay is. I mean, are you actually touching Kenny Golladay? Because I didn't touch him once in that 40. Like, I don't think does he even play? Like, I know he plays, but does he do anything?
I think he played 0% of snaps last week and was kind of.
Didn't he request a trade too?
Yeah.
What does that man have to request a trade?
Right. He's the GOAT. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. He was mediocre in Detroit, and then they decided we needed to replace Odell.
What a fall from grace, though, because like Golladay was like, he was renowned as like, oh man, he's like a premier talent. Like this guy could be a top 10 guy. And there was always flashes of it. And then just, perennially hurt at different intervals, never put that full season together. And then he got the big contract. You know what? There's a parallel here to Will Fuller. Him and Will Fuller are very similar, where it's like there was always this promise, and then it flashed at intervals, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, this guy's going to be a dude in this league. And then all of a sudden, it just never came fully to fruition, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just Kenny is just. I think Matthew Stafford made Kenny Golladay, so I think that's safe to. I think obviously not made him because he was balling out back then, but he definitely helped Kenny Golladay because he put balls in spots that. One, he's not getting balls really in any good spots in New York and hasn't been. So, but yeah, so just a fall from grace and then terrible quarterback play.
Yeah. So last week, I just want to ask you guys, if you had to guess who led, this is probably a standout trick question, who led the Giants in wide receiver snaps against the Panthers?
Oh, I know because I've been drafting all morning.
Yeah, it's David Sills.
Yeah. He played 92 or 93% of snaps last week, up from 45 the previous week. And then and Golladay played 1 or none or something. How many did he play?
Golladay played 3% of snaps, so a literal benching. Literal benching. Tony played 38%. I'm getting all this from Stealing Signals, who get it elsewhere, but just shout out Gretch.
Yeah, go pay your $5 to Gretch. He's doing the Lord's work, man. He's putting in hours and hours and giving you a novel every weekend. It's just
it's so clutch. So that is very interesting to me. So Sills being down that low, I think maybe a point of leverage ? I mean, goddamn, man. Like, just take your pick. Honestly, it would be so awesome to see a shootout here, though, obviously, for viewers' sake and just for like everyone, who's smashing the under here. Like, it would be just so big for this total to hit like 51,
Yeah, let's okay, so before we jump,
such a freaking that would just put a bow on the NFL week, like how things went. Like, everyone's expecting this to be terrible. Like, I feel like the games, the primetime games people expect to be terrible end up being games like, oh, okay. Like last week it was like 17-14 or something going into half. People are like, okay, we got a game. Like, this is actually football is being played. And then all of a sudden it's like the high scoring ones and they just forget because I don't know. It's just, So that would just put a bow on the week. Like 30, I think 31 to 27 or something like that. And a barn burner all the way to the end.
Yeah. God. let's just talk these pass catchers through, because I think talking both sides of these pass catchers through is really interesting. If you guys were drafting, let's just do the Giants side right now. We'll do the Giants side. If you guys are drafting these pass catchers, Shepard, we can just agree kind of thing, is kind of in a tier of his own now that he's come back from the Achilles. He's playing the most snaps. He's running the most routes. He kind of just looks like he's playing the X for them. Do we agree Shepard? And then who are you going behind there? Would you rather Richie James, Sills, someone else?
I think I still, like, despite, my little fun fact about Sills, I still prefer Richie James here, I think.
Okay. Yeah, he had 6 targets last week, 5 catches, something like that. So
yeah, I'm looking for points, like, period here,
Right, sure. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, it's interesting to bring that up versus like last night's contest. Like last night's contest, we were looking for like some ceiling crazy outlier in like Hamler, right? Like we were seeking that. Hamler gets, he's on the field for 45% of plays and he catches that one big ball. I'm not sure we really have that in this game, other than maybe on the Dallas side when we get there. But just talking through this Giants side, I mean, they literally look like they're just going to play the hot hand. Like Tony went from 12 to 38 I'm to talk percentage of snaps here. Tony goes from 12 to 38. Wendell Robinson goes from 15 to 0, but he got banged up. Kenny Golladay went from 77 to 3%. So now do they just come back out and they just go, okay, Golladay, we've paid you all this money. You're not going anywhere. Like, put up or shut up and get out there and play 70% of snaps? Or does he just sit on the bench all game? I don't know, but he probably needs to be mixed in our lineups for that, right? And then Richie James went from 70 to 42. Now, given the way his ADP is, people are kind of expecting him to stay in front of Golladay. Is that a thing? I don't know. Darius Slayton expected to be back. He came back last week, only played 4 snaps. Did they just go, hey, now Slayton's got a week of practice, he's our number 2? Like, it's really, really muddled here. And then we talked about the Sills thing where he leads the team in snaps last week, and the previous week he only played 30-something%. So is it the Sills week? I don't know. This for my money, this makes for a very fun, highly volatile game environment for a single game slate. And I think that's why you guys are like, hey, I'm kind of staying away from this one because of that. And I'm like, give me 50 entries into this bad boy. There is going to be some blood in the water, and I'm going to be on the right side of it one time, right? Like,
that's a fun way to think about it. I used to have like the biggest crush on Darius Slayton as a prospect. I was very much into him, like from Auburn, like ran a fast 40. I was like, okay, this could be like a fun little deep ball guy. And then last year, like I had like a decent amount of them last year in best ball, and obviously that like fell on its face. And then they added Wandale Robinson and Golladay, so I just thought he was dust as hell. So it would be nice to get like a little reassurance that like, hey, they're using Slayton tonight. Like they have no incentive to tell us that, but that would be cool to hear. But it seems like they are kind of telling us by playing Sills and Richie James so much ahead of him and involving him as much as they have. I think they're kind of telling us like what to expect from this team. And as far as tight end pass catchers, if you want to touch on them, between like Bellinger and Hudson, like I'm like Bellinger's the rookie, caught a touchdown, like that's cool. I think Hudson has more targets.
Hudson had 3 catches last week.
I think I would take Hudson over Bellinger, but I don't know.
There's a nice point to leverage there too. Just because, well, we know the narrative with rookie tight end and all this sort of thing, and how acclimation's always slower and this sort of thing. But there's a nice little thing to touch on in this game specifically, is given the volatility at all the pass catchers, Bellinger's basically going 85-90% drafted. Like he's going like 10 through maybe 9 through 10 pick every time. I haven't seen anyone draft Hudson other than me. So I don't know. Maybe what if Hudson's the guy you need, right?
That's a good point to say that we only get to see our drafts. No, just kind of doing
exactly. Yes. It's true though. It's true.
I haven't said anything in a while, so I just wanted to bring that.
Yeah, Numi, do you have a lean on these pass catchers, or is
No.
it just kind of like
Dude,
just
I
randomizing?
don't know. Like what? I
Yeah.
mean, the lean on the pass catchers when Daniel Jones is your quarterback. Like I don't know. Like
Uh-huh.
what is this coaching staff going to do? I have no idea. Like what? Like I understand from your perspective. Like I totally get the point, and it makes sense with all this uncertainty and the market gravitating towards certainty. That's how you cash and make money. So I get it. Like now all of a sudden it's going to be like me when I was talking with Nez last night, and I'm like, and he's like, oh, I'm going to take tonight off. And I see him in there, and I'm like, oh, how's it going? And he just goes, you see nothing? And now I'm going to be in these drafts, and you guys are going to be like, oh, what are you doing in here? And it's going to be like,
we're calling you out.
30, 40 drafts later. And I'm going to be like, oh, well, I had to do it. But that makes exact sense. Like, so if Bellinger, and it put to the point, like you can kind of put in yesterday's contest too, like the only players being targeted, I never even thought of Hudson, never even, like, it wasn't, I went Bellinger a couple times, but I mean, Kittle broke my heart. So, but like, it's so much tight end that, like, if it's going to be all Bellinger, and like you said, like, I don't have the snaps in front of me, but if Hudson's getting more targets and caught more balls, like, who's to say it's the showdown slate? So the backup, all of a sudden it's like, who's this Hudson guy? So that's a great leverage point, I think.
Yeah. I think Hudson's kind of like the more like blocking in line guy, and he is playing, they're mixing 3 tight ends, and he's playing less snaps than Bellinger. I don't know a shit ton about Hudson, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
not that,
like,
you don't
that's
really
the point of leverage.
Yeah, you don't need to know it. Like, because I mean, but immediately when you look at the wide receiver group, Sterling Shepard, Richie James, Davis Sills, Kenny Galladay, and Darius Slayton, legitimate. Any one of those guys can be the highest scoring player on for the wide receivers.
Yeah,
like
agreed.
One of them, and there's no one that says, "Oh, that's insane." Like, you couldn't tell me that Slayton, that like you said, what if now Slayton has a full week of practice and he gets more than he gets the rolls or the catches in a certain spot. So yeah, there's so much uncertainty here that it's like, just gravitate towards where the market is thinking it's gonna. This is where it's gonna go, and then you just play the opposite and hope it's that one time.
I would like to
Nez.
say just real quick. Sorry. So just because you said you didn't know anything about Tanner Hudson, I do know a little bit about Tanner Hudson because whenever he was on the Buccaneers, I was a sicko playing preseason DFS, and I knew that he was a tight end for the Buccaneers. And he was actually like one of our targets. I remember Levitan was pumping him up. For preseason DFS.
Okay.
So
insider
hashtag team. Yeah, hashtag team preseason. Let's go.
Former preseason darling. So I got a little affinity for Hudson.
Quote unquote Nez takes. Love it.
Love it. Okay, let's jump to the Cowboy side. Cowboy side's really interesting because Melee 2 has now closed. Now we're on to Melee 3, as you were speaking to, with these repopulating 5Ks. So now that it's closed, I don't really mind like sharing my exposure and that sort of thing. I don't love to do it or share combos before it closes. Now it's closed. It's kind of all good. So I'll bring some of that stuff up after. But like, I think this is just, there's a very clear top 4 here. I was on Schultz before he had the doubtful tag, and Gallup a little bit before he had the doubtful tag. But I think this Cowboys offense is equally as random in where the ball is going to be dispersed, but it's more concentrated in who's going to be playing. And I think we're going to see that Lamb plus Noah Brown, 80 plus or 75+% of snaps. And then I think you're going to see the classic Zeke Pollard rotation, but they're both going to be heavily involved. Outside of that, Jake Ferguson is going to be most likely going to be some form of chalk on DKs because he's 300. And if we don't get Schultz, which it's trending in that direction that we're not going to get Schultz, he's 300 on DK. So I think people will be getting there just for salary relief. And, I don't know. I don't know if he just jumps right into the Schultz role, but as the only, main healthy tight end there, I can imagine that's what they do with him. I mean, he played 56% of snaps last week with Schultz on the field. So yeah, anyways, there's that. And then Jalen Tolbert's going to be active for the first time. And Tolbert was a best ball guy that, people were targeting, and by the looks of it, wrongfully targeting in like the late to middle rounds based on, the beat reporters came back all camp and just said, all the fantasy bros were in on this guy, and all the beat reporters are like, this guy can't play ball. So it'll be interesting to see him out there tonight. Does he work over some of these secondary guys like Houston and Fahuko or whatever? We'll see. I don't even know if that's how you say his name, but he's been playing a little bit. Like he played like 10-20% of snaps the first 2 weeks. But basically, does Tolbert work over Houston, or should we be mixing in Houston as our 4th round pick? Is kind of just my internal debate right now from the Cowboys side. Is there anything else you guys are seeing or any interest outside of that kind of core 4?
I will say that CD is still the alpha. I mean, not that he wasn't, but he's the clear alpha after week 1 with Dak having a 26% target share. Week 2 increasing to 36. So regardless of the performance and Noah Brown getting in the end zone, and I might have had more. No, so CD had more. Yeah, so he got in the end zone and have more yards. CD still dominated the target share. Yeah. So that's one thing to know that I still, I mean, I think if we look up and is CD the 101 or who is Saquon's 101?
He's Saquon's 101. Yeah. So CD's kind of going in that second spot. So I think it's nice when we can find a construction that gives us Lamb plus one of the running backs because it's like more unique, or like Lamb plus Shepard is becoming very natural. But I think there's a good case to be made for, Noah Brown just outscoring Shepard in his own right tonight, and then pairing the 2 Dallas wide receivers. I think there's some merit in that, and leverage off the 2 running back builds being paired. But I think this slate is going to be one on who picks the best deep one-off is what I'm thinking.
Well, it's going to be what guy, what combination obviously gets, it's the way at everything, but it's going to be it's going to rely on your like last 2 picks. Like obviously those 2 picks are going to decide. Like most likely your top 2 are going to be your higher scoring. And then, it's just going to be like, what do you have after that? What did you come up with after? So, and that's where to basically ease your way into that uncertainty, which we just talked about with all of these plays. Like you just start getting all of these different combos, and you kind of like, you can work those in. Cause like, there's so many, like with the 5 Dallas or Giants wide receivers, like there's just so many different ways you could do. I mean, just telling yourself, get CD and Noah Brown. Like, I think a lot of people kind of be off that. Just they're seeing like, oh, there's no way they can both get you there. It's like, well, if this, there's an easy way where they can both get you there. So getting different with your last 2 picks is going to be, it's always key, but it's going to be very key, especially when they're more concentrated on this slate.
Yeah, this contest is going to be very different than the ones we're drafting going forward, because in my player pool, we were drafting Gallup and Schultz, not with the designated D sign, so they're going to turn into late swaps. So my big decision right now is who I swap onto for those players, because as you can see, I got 22%, nothing crazy, but I did end up pivoting and getting on Tolbert like quite a bit to almost the same level as Schultz after the news. So now for me, it's like, do I pile on even further on the Tolbert side, or do I try and get different in some regard with somebody else? And I don't know. It appears, whether it was draft slot dependent or variance dependent or however it was, that I gravitated heavily towards the concentration of touches from the running backs on this slate. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the best way to approach it. That's what I either fell into or started to.
It certainly feels better.
It feels like the floor is much higher, and it doesn't feel like there's a lot of wide receivers for us to be targeting here that are quote unquote break the slate guys. Like we said, I mean, maybe Slayton can be that guy for you. But that's just kind of where my eyeballs have been going. Anything else to add, guys, or do you want to just jump in one here, feel one or two out on the fly, and then call her a stream?
Yeah, let's go ahead and just dive right in. There's no better way to get a feel for this thing than to just go all in, just head first.
Okay. Let's do it.
Nice, and we're full. I will say, I was looking up a little, trying to find any little optimism for Darius Slayton, and the only thing I found was a beat reporter for the Giants saying that he expects, this is based off no comments, that he expects Golladay to play more in light of these like in light of the trade talks and whatnot, just to kind of like squeeze a little bit out of him is what his lean is based on the way that he feels the GM works. So just a little something there. If you're looking for any sort of anything to give you a lean tonight, there's that for you. But
that's what we need in slates like this. Like, where there is so much volatility and whatever, that little piece of nugget, or when we were drafting the early contests, or when I was drafting earlier rather, like just the fact that I had push notifications on from the Underdog site, boom, comes up, Schultz not expected to play, boom, Golladay not expected to play, and I get that notification. Well, I got 3 drafts of leverage like right after, where it's like, okay, I'm just going to enter 3 more right now that I've seen that piece. I'm going to trust that piece of information, and I'm going to let other people eat it until we get the definitive doubtful tag on there and people stop clicking it. Do you guys want to do the double running back, or do you guys want to get weird? What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I'm down.
I don't know, man. Hit Pollard first. I think.
Okay, let's hit Pollard.
I think take Pollard first.
What if you do Pollard Brown?
See, what I'm thinking is like let somebody eat the Zeke grenade. Maybe it's Zeke night, and now we run this back on stream, and I look silly as a goose. But let somebody catch a falling knife. You know what I'm saying? Because what is Zeke's ceiling with, the writing has been on the wall since last season that Tony Pollard is a better player than him.
Can't
pass
protect worth shit, but
so you just give him the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because I think after all this Kenny Golladay talk, literally on the first series, they're gonna feed him. It's gonna be like a Kenny Golladay downfield pass. The Kenny Golladay there. No, we're gonna look. It's gonna be in Kenny Golladay, and all of a sudden we're just gonna be sitting here like, oh well, yeah, we called it. We come back on here tomorrow like, oh look, it's like none of us did anything.
Well, to be fair, there's a chance Galladay's cooked, but there's also a chance that hey man, maybe there's still a little something there, and we're getting a quote unquote talent that shouldn't be available in a single game contest in the 4th round, but we can buy a little bit of it. Let's just buy it on this lineup and see where we end up. What else do you guys like outside of?
So close to Sterling Shepard, man. Sorry, I'm just kind of little.
Yeah, that's crazy. I haven't
over that
all day.
We
I
might have given
that
dude a super team.
Far. Yeah, literally.
Who's gonna have that?
Not many. Yeah, that probably shouldn't happen very often. Yeah, I don't know. Let's
Ferguson.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
What do you think?
I mean, I think him and Noah are both taking each other's quote unquote volume there, but I think relative to the other options available, I think it's him, or you take a swing at one of the New York tight ends in a build like this and run like a 2-2 instead of a 3-3, so instead of a 3-1. But in terms of roster construction in these contests, they're so inherently random that you just have to hit the 4 nutted pieces. So, I mean, we're giving ourselves outs with players we think that are going to play snaps. This team might be dead if Golladay comes out and plays 0 snaps again. But if we run with that squeaky wheel mindset.
Right. I think a lot of people, maybe not, but I think just my tendency, which I tend to go off of, I think people want to try and make 2-2 lineups too. So going to 3-1 is something that's kind of interesting. I don't know, especially in these games where there's no clear favorite. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel like everyone they feel safer going 2-2.
Well, it's kind of like the showdown mentality where it's people don't really want to run 5-1 onslaughts, right? And it's proven that, hey, 5-1 onslaughts can get home in these isolated showdown slates, right? It just.
Yeah, and I think in a game like this, also you don't need a blowout for
Willis coming in.
I knew I wasn't sure if we still had the resident Zeke stand in here, but we do. Willis, trust me, I came around at the very, very end of my drafting to realizing that Zeke could be set up for a monster year, and then now we have what we have right now. But I don't doubt that he can't put up some spike weeks. Being the goal line back. I like the
14-point
thesis of your
game.
play.
Good 14-point spike week from Zeke.
That's actually a great point. A Zeke spike week is fucking 14 points. It's like a Zeke spike week.
Woo! We got him. He got in the end zone and 80 yards. Oh my God.
Exactly.
I love it.
All right, we gotta
two
go
touchdowns.
CD.
2 touchdowns and 30 yards. Zeke spike week. Jeez. 11 targets,
Willis.
both those 2 weeks. Let's hope CeeDee Lamb breaks the slate in this one right here. Well, not for me personally, but in this lineup.
No, he's gonna. It's gonna. Just thinking when I've been in on CeeDee Lamb for the past like 2 weeks now, it's gonna be.
I think this is a pretty natural pairing here to take Shepard and just kind of think that we have the W1s on each side. I think
when Shepard's healthy, I love him.
Yeah, me too, actually. I think we just kind of take this and we just hope that we get 20 targets from the 2 alphas on either side in this build, and it becomes a little pass happy. But now we can get a little interesting here. We have the choice between Richie James, so we can take the upside or we can take the targets from last week. We're good in terms of position. We can build 3-1s either way. Which of these 2 do you guys prefer here? I don't think there's really a debate for
maybe still for the
else?
sake of uniqueness. Like I feel like a lot of people will just like gravitate to the top of the queue and seeing, Richie James is kind of a name that's been thrown out there because he he was leading them in target share and air yards, like the league, and as far as like a team's total air yard share. So his name was getting more buzz around people's peripherals compared to David Sills. No one's talking about David Sills. The only place that I saw that he led the team in wide receiver snap share was through Ben Gretsch stealing signals. So I think I like not trying to get duped in this ugly slate, but without sacrificing too many points, which I don't think we have.
Yeah, make it the Kenny Golladay and the Daniel Jones breakout day, baby. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right, exactly. Why not? That's like these lineups just have to tell a story.
Yeah.
I kind of like this here.
I'm not gonna tell you no.
Let's just. I don't think it's the best pick. It's not going to project the best, but in the confines of this lineup, where it's like we already have 3 pass catchers. So that lineup was CD. We got Unique with the Sills pick and Shepard. In that lineup, I don't think we want to add another Giants pass catcher. And by us betting on and Ferguson had already gone, right? So it was basically Tolbert or Breda. And I think just making that bet on the second running back to just fall into the end zone once isn't terrible in that lineup. I think it's thin, obviously, but just given the construct of that lineup, if we're like telling a story about that lineup, I think that's how that lineup wins. And I think it's more likely that, Tolbert doesn't go for 80-1 and CD go for 160-1 and Breda's the piece that loses us that slate. I think it's more likely that Breda's the piece that could win you that slate by falling into the end zone. I don't know if there's merit to that thought process, but just kind of what I was thinking. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's thin, but I liked Breda as like a running back, like back whenever he was getting more usage. I was always a pretty big fan of Breda. We'll see. You never know. He is the RB2 there. There's no Corey Clement. He is the RB2. So I think, like I said, I like trying to in this game getting Unique and not getting duped and splitting first 100 ways.
Yeah, and I think if we did something like that in the first couple of rounds, I think you give up a lot of value to those in the player pool, especially right.
We always talk about, which is good to touch on again. Don't do it early. You don't need to take Noah Brown in the first 3 picks. I promise.
Right. Should we run another CD one here and then see maybe one of the Dallas running backs falls to us and we can get a little different in that regard? Or we could run double Dallas here. The one thing I'm noticing about this slate is all the Dallas players kind of get pushed up, and then you can kind of just grab your Giant later. So I think we built out Sterling last time. If we take Noah Brown here, and then we can kind of just whatever of the Giant pass catchers fall to us. I kind of like what you guys are saying with this Galladay squeaky wheel kind of thing. If we can get him in the 4th, I don't want to take him in the 3rd, but if we go 2 pass catchers from each side in this build, I really don't mind that thought process. Yeah, I mean, we could go Giants, or we could go Dallas Onslaught and take the tight end as well and just go, they're passing it. But I think it's far less likely to get home than like Sills being on the other side of it, being their number 1 target tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I think I would probably opt for Sills, but Ferguson is pretty interesting. Like you said, he played snaps alongside Schultz last week, and assumingly gonna step into that tight end role right away. We lost out on Galladay, but
okay. But we'd be complete and utter frauds if we didn't do this right now.
Yeah.
My moral compass would stand for absolutely nothing if we didn't take this player right here, right now.
This is why you grind preseason in 2018. So in 2022, whenever
trust the process. Trust the process. Nez's preseason picks, he lost $7,000 on that slate in 2018, and he's making it all back tonight because he's got the process. He's got it in the memory bank. He's got it. We're nearing an hour on the show, boys. Do you want to go? You want to go one last one and hope we roll the 101 to get a different draft slot? And these ones are quick, eh?
I got time for one more.
More.
Yeah, let's get that influencer 101 one time.
Let's do it one time. Put you guys on the spot. You guys can't say no now.
Let's see. Drum roll.
Yeah. Willis, nobody likes you crying about the RNG and not getting the 101 because, no one runs purer than me, man. 101 right there. I guaranteed that we would get the 101, man. Yeah.
I haven't drafted yet, Willis, so I'll let you know. I'll take Zeke once. Just kidding. There he goes. There we go. Willis is hammering Zeke. I know it.
All right, just for Willis, we're gonna get the true 101 here. Put him in the queue. I will
leave the studio. I promise. I will dissociate.
Oh, this is good. I don't think there's any argument to be made in the Barkley versus anyone debate tonight at 101. You get those slates where you can mix and match the 101 and get some unique builds.
Yeah, call your shot a little bit.
Yeah, I just think you're giving up way too much if you don't take Saquon. All right.
That second round, I think, will be interesting. I don't think it'll be like totally I don't think every Saquon team will have the same second pick. By that CeeDee Lamb pick on the way back has like some options there. I mean, I would personally go Shepard like 9 out of 10 times. Okay, I'm glad that you haven't like completely jumped the old shark there. But I could see people wanting to not, maybe wanting to get Noah Brown there. They just completely hate. Okay.
I think this is a real nice bring back. Like it's going to be chalky as hell in the natural like correlation, but I think we get different in this build with our last pick. We don't get different with our build in these 2 picks,
right?
Being the 12th team. So I think Noah Brown's the pick, like period. Yeah. And then I think you can debate between basically those 3 or Ferguson kind of thing. I think you can make a case for any of these guys here. I don't think we have a Richie James team yet, so I think my eyes are gravitating towards that.
Yeah, that's fine with me. And then we can kind of try to get unique in the 4th pick.
Yeah, I agree with that thought process.
It's just tough, man. This might be like a spreadsheet slate where you just like keep track of your ownership and just make sure that that you're not duping yourself. Just because
I think that's 100% what it is. I think that's or
you could call it like a math slate, play the numbers. There's not a whole lot of takes to be had here, but we've got ours laid out there, which is Kenny Galladay squeaky wheel narrative and Darius Slayton one time.
Yeah, I don't mind either of those calls, and I think I think they can all happen tonight. And I think that's what makes this slate fun is the fourth round of these drafts, because you're going to see this is the same 9 players are going to go over and over and over again in some kind of combination here. Nobody's pushing above these 9 players, basically, in my experience.
Are you listening to the stream, Glenn?
Yeah, big Glenn. Glenny's in here, man. Glenny.
I love it. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, I never say any of that shit. I don't even tag the videos, but we're organic growth. 12 live right now.
Oh, and what do you know? What do you know? There he is, baby. Come on,
Mr.
The
squeaky
Irrelevant.
wheel.
The mannequin himself.
We're telling the story here that Dallas is chasing points. Barkley scores 2 on the ground. Richie James has 60 yards. Golladay gets the one other touchdown. Giants win 28-7 with Noah Brown getting 60 yards and the touchdown on the other side.
And we're asking ourselves tomorrow, is Kenny Golladay back?
Are
the Giants for real?
Are they Texas? Are they back? Are they
Horns up?
Oh man.
Didn't Texas lose?
Yeah, they did.
I was like, I swear I saw horns down all weekend.
It's just the classic joke, like Texas is back. Are they back? Is Texas back? All right, great stream, gentlemen. Glad you guys had some success this weekend. Sorry that it didn't amount to 50K from one of you guys, but it's coming. It's coming. Everyone's flirted with it. Everyone's flirted with it. Week 1, Numi was flirting with it. Week 2, I was flirting with it. And week 3, both you guys were flirting with it. So it's coming. I can sense it. I can feel it. Like just keep putting that good juju out there. We're manifesting that shit. That 50 dimes is coming to the boys. The BadgeBros, baby. Ooh, sweet, sweet. It's going to cost 3 Corollas to get there, but we're getting there. All right. Anything you guys want to add?
I don't. Good luck tonight, everybody playing this disgusting slate, and let's take one down for the brand.
Yeah, let's go. Someone in the chat, one of us, take this one down tonight. Good luck to both of you tonight. Good luck to everybody in the chat. Like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll be back tomorrow. Mark will be with us for sure. Hopefully all 4 of us going. Hopefully I can get one of these 4 window graphics. I can make one. We'll see. I'll try this afternoon. But Mark Garcia coming to join us again tomorrow. We'll talk through the Monday stuff, and it'll be our first introduction into what's going next week. I'm sure Numi will have 7-8 drafts in the tank by then, and he'll have some thoughts to share.
Light. What are you talking?
Well, you got to go to the dentist. You got to go to the dentist.
That's sadly on Wednesday. So
there you go. All right. Good stream, gentlemen, and everyone's favorite time. The end. Let's go.